Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new, my name is Mel and I love to share cooking videos on this channel. And today I wanted to share some side dishes with you that you can make for the 4th of July or any cookout or get together this summer. If you've been here for the long run, then you've probably seen me make these stuffed peppers before, but they really are super good and a great summer dish to make. I'm starting by getting some bacon cooking, and I'm going to cook about 6 slices of bacon. I'm only cooking enough of these for me and my husband to have one day, but if you want to make this for a crowd, I would suggest doubling the recipe. Once my bacon is fully cooked, I'm going to move it over to a paper towel lined plate so that it can kind of drip dry over there while we're getting everything else prepared. Now I'm chopping up 1 green onion, and this was a large green onion. Normally I would use 2 small ones, but this one was pretty big. After that, I'm going to go ahead and work on my jalapeños. As you can see, I have about 6 of them here. This will turn into 12 stuffed peppers. Also, you do not have to use jalapeños. We just prefer to use the jalapeños because we like the heat. You can also just use many colored peppers. That's totally fine too. I do that occasionally as well. For each one of these, you're just going to remove the insides and all the seeds. I'm using a small knife to do this, but you can also use a spoon if you're not comfortable using a knife. Now that my bacon has had time to cool down, I'm going to go ahead and get that chopped up as well. And now that everything's all ready to go, into my bowl I have 1 block of softened cream cheese. I'm adding about 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You can start with less if you want, we just really love the garlic taste. I'm adding in the bacon, the green onions, about 1 cup of shredded mild cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to get that mixed together. Now that this is combined, I'm actually going to be using an icing bag. I'll go ahead and link the ones that I'm using below for you in case you're interested to see what I'm talking about. You use these to add icing to cake usually, but they are a great way to get this filling into these jalapeños. If you don't have an icing bag, you can also use a Ziploc bag and just cut the corner off. Once all the filling is in the bag, go ahead and squeeze it down as far as you can. Twist the top so that it's nice and airtight, and then you'll just cut the little piece off at the end so that it can come out perfectly into your jalapeños or your peppers. And then you can just begin filling. It's super easy to do. This makes it a lot less messy than trying to spoon it in, and also a lot quicker in my opinion. As you use your filling, just keep pushing it down in the bag and twisting the top. You can cook these jalapeno poppers any way you want to. I'm using my air fryer today, but that doesn't mean you can't grill them or bake them. Any way you want to do it is totally fine. Since I'm using my air fryer, I'm just going to make sure these are in a nice single layer. They will be touching just a little bit, but that's totally fine. I put these in my air fryer on 360 degrees for about 8 to 9 minutes until the cheese was starting to brown and the jalapenos had softened up. This is what they look like when they're all done. Like I said, these are a favorite. I used to make these when I lived back at home with my family, and they all loved when we made them as well. So they're super good, and again, you can use regular peppers as well if you don't want to use jalapenos. If you want to avoid that spice, that's fine as well. Up next, we are going to dress up a pasta salad. So I'm sure you've probably seen this Suddenly pasta salad at the store. This is a great item to keep on hand if you have a quick get together or if you end up having people come over that you weren't expecting. To get started, I am going to cook up a couple slices of bacon. This bacon was very oddly shaped. I thought that was kind of funny. They have little tails. I'm cooking about 4 slices total. While my bacon was cooking, I went ahead and got the pasta salad in the boiling water and let that cook according to the box directions. For the sauce, we are going to add about 1 cup of mayonnaise. I believe the box says to use a half cup, so we're actually going to double the sauce. You'll add the seasoning package straight in there. I'm adding about 2 or 3 tablespoons of milk, a half teaspoon of dill, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and go ahead and get that mixed together. Depending on your taste, you can add more dill or garlic powder if you'd like to. And yes, there is already seasonings in this pasta salad, but like I said, we're trying to dress it up and make it a little bit more exciting. Next, we're going to add in some of these little cherry tomatoes. You can add in as many as you want of these. I just like to grab a handful since this isn't a lot of pasta salad, slice them in half and add them straight in. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of mild cheddar cheese. This was probably only 2 or 3 ounces of cheese. It's not a lot. I'm going to cut that into nice tiny little bite-sized cubes. Now that my bacon has cooled down, I'm also going to chop that up into small pieces and add that in as well. Now that all of that is in my bowl, I'm going to go ahead and mix it and combine it with the sauce. Once it's well mixed, add in your pasta salad and make sure you've drained it and ran it under some cold water so it is cooled down. I just like to cover mine and add it into the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes, if not longer, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. Like I said, this is a super simple thing you can just kind of throw together really quickly if you need to. If you have all the things on hand, you don't have to add everything I added either. You can make it your own, and I just served this with some fruit and a barbecue chicken sandwich. I just showed this in the previous recipe, but now I'm going to show you how I like to do my fruit cutouts. Since I'm just making this for my husband and I'm using a personal watermelon, but if you are making this for a crowd, I would recommend using a larger one. I like to slice my watermelon into bigger slices just like this, and then I cut the sides off, and that's how I create the area that I'm going to be using my cookie cutter on. Since this is a smaller watermelon, I'm not going to have room to make more than 1 cutout per slice, which is fine. That's enough for me to show you what I'm doing. But if you're using a big watermelon, you can make several cutouts from each of the slices. After I remove the outside, I'm going to go ahead and take whatever shape of cookie cutter I want. Today I am using a star since the 4th of July is this upcoming week. As you can see, it cuts it out so perfectly. And then what I do with the rest of it is I just go ahead and chop that up, and you can add that into the bottom of the bowl. And this way, nothing goes to waste. I was going to do the same thing with my cantaloupe, but I could not find my mini star cookie cutter after getting this ready, so I just decided to chop this up into smaller pieces. If you've never eaten a cantaloupe before, cantaloupes do have a center filled with the seeds that you need to scoop out, so obviously we don't have room for this big cookie cutter. If you do have a smaller one though, you can fit that in perfectly with these. I have used it before. Unfortunately, I have no idea where it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this up into smaller pieces. But using different colored fruits with different sizes will really make your bowl of fruit cutouts interesting. This is what it will look like. Like I said, you should have other shapes and different sizes of your cutouts as well, but since I only had the big one today, this is what I came out with. I ended up adding some green grapes in there as well, and then all those little pieces of fruit that we cut up after using the cookie cutter and the cantaloupe is all on the bottom so nothing goes to waste. Last but not least, we are going to make some Crockpot BBQ Meatballs. This is a big favorite with a lot of people. So to start into my little 2-quart crock pot, I'm adding about a half cup of barbecue sauce, and you can use any barbecue sauce that you want to. About 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and then about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. I'm just using my spoon to kind of mix all that together in the bottom. Now for the meatballs, you can use frozen meatballs if that's what you want to do. I already had some homemade meatballs in the freezer. I just set those out to thaw a little bit before adding them in here. They were a little frozen still. If you have homemade meatballs, trust me, it tastes way better if you use homemade meatballs. But if not, frozen are totally fine. In the crock pot right now, I do have about 1 pound of meatballs. I don't know what the store packages are, but I'm using 1 pound. I set my crock pot on a low heat for about 3 hours. They were all the way warmed through at that point. I just gave them a really good mix, made sure they didn't need any extra barbecue sauce, and then this is what they look like when they're all done. I did stick some toothpicks in mine just for easy grab and go, but you can just leave them in your crock pot. They should be good to go in there on a low or warm setting for another 2 to 3 hours. If they do start to dry out a little bit, you can add more barbecue sauce to try to extend their life. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a flower down in the comments, and thank you so much for being here with me today in my kitchen. I'll see you back here on Sunday. Bye!